Welcome to the Horr-gasm podcast, the show where the serial killer isn't coming for you, you're coming for them. I'm Nick, and this is my co-host, Allie.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us, wherever you are.
Which our statistics are showing mostly Ontario. 73% of our listeners are Canadian.
Yay!
Yeah, that's awesome.
And one New Zealand listener.
One New Zealand listener. I don't know who you are, but huge shout out. You made our life.
Yes.
Not that the Canadians didn't, but just when we were reading our statistics, because
it's like all North America.
All North America.
And then just one way in the corner of New Zealand. So hey, awesome on you. Thank you for listening, whoever you are. Feel free to go on our social media. Send us a message.
I want to find out who Mr. or Mrs. New Zealand is.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Just mention, hey, I'm the guy or girl listening from New Zealand. Listen to this horror movie, or watch this horror movie and talk about it. We'd love to.
So fabulous.
Yes.
It's so cute. I love that.
We're just of the world.
I've only met one person from New Zealand, and they were a tour guide when I went to Europe. His name was Kevin, and he was so nice. Probably one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was fabulous.
So,
yeah, but Nick, we had an exciting week here.
We did.
You had some excitement going on.
A little bit.
Yesterday? Day before?
Day before.
Day before?
Day before. I got a big old a couple tattoos done.
Tattoos?
Yes. One was Celtic tribal. It's supposed to be the shield design from Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
But with the design how it was done, it looks like a predator face.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Both Nick and I are huge gamers, obviously. And so I was stoked when he showed me the design. You showed it to me few years ago, maybe.
I've had this planned for years.
Yes.
I finally got it done. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to Alfred from Asylum Tattoo and Barbershop in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
If anyone ever comes visits and hey, I need a tattoo, look him up. He is a fantastic artist, great human being. His wife, Allie, does a great job with hair and just haircuts and designs. And big shout out, a big free plug for Asylum Tattoo and Barbershop.
I was so impressed when Nick got his, when he came home and showed his tattoos to me. I was like, I've had this kind of tattoo idea I want on my thigh, and I think I might hit him up. So I'm thinking I might.
Do it. He's a little booked up right now, but I'm sure he can sneak in and...
it's going to be on my body forever. I don't mind waiting. I've been waiting on my chest piece since April. And I know. But I'm just so excited for it. And she's like doing it from scratch, the design. So I'm jazzed. And it's totally worth waiting. Yeah. I think. Right?
My next tattoo will be on my left sleeve, working on my little horror sleeve. It's kind of like just the supernatural. I already got to Medusa. I'll probably do a demon, like a demoness on my inner forearm. We'll get like Anubis on there too. A Grim Reaper.
So cool, Anubis, hey?
He's the god of death in Egyptian mythology.
I love mythology.
And that's kind of what it's like a death mythology sleeve arm, which is what I'm going for.
Right.
And yeah.
That's cool.
It's going to cost a lot of money, but you know what? It's going to be fabulous after. You look awesome.
All of my tattoos are... I always say, I've got a lot of tattoos, but nothing that anybody would shank me for in prison. Because I have my Sailor Moon tattoo, I have my Gay Pride tattoo, I have my Ariel tattoo, Ariel and the Flounder and Sebastian on my leg, and then my grandparents' names in a heart on my foot.
I love that tattoo. That's such a great tattoo.
Isn't it fab? Yeah. So, nothing very exciting, unfortunately, but I'm hoping to get a bunch of... like the killers that we list through, the slashers, like Chucky and Freddy and Jason, they're
weapons.
Yeah, they're weapons.
Yeah.
And the Pennywise balloon down my thigh. And
when you get that done, it's going to be great.
It's going to be great. It's going to be such a good homage to what we're doing here.
Yeah. Also, I was talking to one of our listeners, and she's not a big horror fan at all. She's kind of been scared. She's terrified of zombie movies.
Yeah, I feel that to my core.
But she branched out and decided to watch Evil Dead. I think it was last week of this recording. And I asked
Which is an interesting movie to start on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's very low budget, and we'll get to it eventually to do our reviews. Yeah. And we both love the Evil Dead franchise. We love
Evil Dead.
It's so good.
So good.
And the first one is kind of they went for straight horror.
Yes.
Second one was more horror themed with some comedy in it. And the third was comedy straight up with
Yes.
a bit of horror thrown in. And then there's a TV series, which they kind of went back to the comedy horror. And from what she messaged me, it's an old movie where all the graphics and effects and everything were horrendous and therefore not scary.
Interesting.
Well,
but we've talked about this.
Yes, and looking back then, it was kind of state of the art. It was all very practical.
You bet.
No CGI or anything. She was grateful for it. She said it was cheesy, and the acting was horrendous. Come on, Bruce Campbell's a good
Yeah.
But
Hashtag
again, this is
Bruce Campbell.
But this is her opinion. Whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Across the board, and the plot was really inconsistent and really didn't make sense at all. It's an old kind of B flick horror movie.
Sure.
But that's just what she saw.
Yeah.
I can appreciate how it may have been quite scary back when it was made.
Yes.
And all the claymation at the end was funny to watch and yet pretty gross, which is what they went for.
Exactly,
and I love the claymation part at the end.
Yes.
So that's someone who's in her early, I think 30. She's 31. She's
so around
30s.
Our age.
And her really first time really getting into the horror movies. She went to an old one. Yeah, she went to an old one. Mm-hmm. Which is pretty...
It's good to start.
It's a tame one.
And that's what I started on. You started me on Friday the 13th. That was the first ones we watched. And then right after that, we did Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep.
And I think that those are great movies to start on because they're not super scary nowadays.
No.
That parts of it can be. But, even when we were watching, we watched Candyman this week, some of the jump scares got me.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big jump scare person. It's not my jam.
And I am. They get me most of the time, but this one I kind of saw coming.
Yes. And it's only 1992.
Yeah.
And it was it feels like you could still play this in a theater and it would get people. Absolutely.
I think so.
Some of the kills are a little I think the doctor one was a little meh. But aside from the gore, I think the jump scares and the psychological parts of it, for sure you could play this in a movie theater these days and it would still get people.
This movie didn't go for the graphic scares.
You're right. Yeah.
It kind of went for more the mood.
You bet. And that's why I think
really
the jump scares got me, was because you were in the mood. And even that, you can usually feel them coming. And I'd be like, okay, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And it's
And also just the music.
Oh, the music
Very
was good.
But we're already going to the review.
Yes, okay.
We
got more to talk about.
We
got to talk chop.
Yes, talking chop.
Yes.
So, Alana, what would you say were some good horror TV series?
Horror TV series. Well, I am actually, because I just got into it, I actually have watched quite a few as of recently. But when I thought about it, before I even started watching horror movies, I was watching Stranger Things.
Yep.
As soon as it came out, my my girlfriend was like, "You have to watch it. You can't not watch Stranger Things. It's exactly up your alley," which is 80s, right? I love the 80s. And I watched it, and it was fabulous. And I didn't think it was super, super scary. Some parts were, for sure. But the other one, I used to watch Walking Dead. I brought it up in episode 0. I used to watch Walking Dead. But then, I was watching it as it was coming out. And it was so scary. I could only watch one episode. And then I'd have to watch 2 of Family Guy, Simpsons, American Dad, something like that.
To cleanse the palate.
Get the taste out of my mouth. Because I would be shaking. I would be so scared.
Oh, wow.
And then I'd watch another episode, and I only got up to 3 seasons, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much.
Yeah, I grew up with X-Files.
Yes.
And that show, it was scary.
Yes.
That show was scary.
Yeah.
I remember this first season finale when they're in the woods and they got the glowy bugs.
Yes.
And you know what? I watched that as a kid. And after the episode, I was going to bed and I was checking everywhere for something to glow.
Yep.
And I remember hearing my mom and dad kind of whisper, he's scared. He's because they saw me watching with me.
Sure.
And I remember they said, he's a little scared. And I'm
Aww.
thinking, no. As I'm as I'm in bed, I'm checking on the covers, no bugs, nothing. Good. Another one was Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
And I grew up, it was on Fox.
Of course.
And I loved that show.
Sure.
It was not so much, it was scary.
Sure.
But it wasn't terrifying scary. It was more kind of entertainment scary.
I feel like I've seen a few episodes of Tales of the Crypt Keeper. I cannot remember them though.
Well, Crypt Keeper was the cartoon. Tales of the Crypt was
that's
the
the
live
one.
action.
Okay, I watched the Crypt Keeper one.
I did too.
That one was. I feel like in my mind's eye, I remember it. I remember seeing it. I remember seeing the guy in between, like the Crypt Keeper in between, but I don't remember any of it specifically.
Like, an old friend of mine, he had some of them recorded on a VHS tape. And I never would borrow it, and I'd have to fast forward through the opening theme because it's like the camera's going through the house, going through a trapdoor, going to the basement, go to a coffin, and the music ramps up, and the Crypt Keeper kind of pops up laughing. And at first I'm like, what the hell? It's scary. Oh my goodness. And I just fast forward through it all.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, there's the Crypt Keeper. He's such a good character.
Old friend.
And he's one of the classic TV horror characters.
You bet.
They branched out into 2 movies. The first one I loved. Second one, not so much. But I love Demon Knight. I loved Demon Knight. It's one of my top, probably, if there's a top 5, 10 horror movies, it's up there.
It would be in there. Interesting.
It's got Billy Zane. It's got
good.
I forget the other guy's name. He played Death in Bill and Ted Bogus Adventure.
Yes.
Or Bogus Journey.
Are those horror movies?
Yes.
Bill and Ted?
No.
No, those are comedies,
they're
right?
Comedies, yes.
I haven't seen them.
It's got Jada Pinkett Smith is also she's in that movie.
Sure.
And I want to watch and review it. What else for horror TV series?
Well, I have watched all of American Horror Story.
I haven't seen a single one.
You'd love it so much.
I think I would.
I am caught up as of today. I'm caught up on American Horror 1984 that just came out.
Yep.
And I didn't know how they would do an 80s slasher like movie as a TV show. It is so interesting.
Cool.
Every episode they're going into a character's backstory and it's really interesting.
Cool.
I love it so far. I thought, okay, there's a killer, he's coming after kids, whatever. But it's so much more than that. It
sounds very Friday the 13th.
It is for sure. But you think kind of, but the killer isn't always who you think, what they seem, that kind of stuff. I can't even explain it without giving anything away, but it's fabulous. The actors in this are, as always, just phenomenal. Emma Roberts and Billy Lord are seasoned veterans that are coming back, and they're amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, you'd really like it. That's one that I really like, that I keep up to date on. The other one I just finished was The Haunting of Hill House.
And I've heard that was really good.
It was unreal.
Again, haven't seen it. The TV series I need to catch up.
The TV series with Netflix, I think it's a lot better because you can watch them all sort of, or you can watch a few in a row. I find even watching American Horror Story every week is kind of you kind of have to, you're out of it and you have to kind of get yourself back into it for the 40 minutes it is, plus those long commercial breaks. So I find it harder to pull the viewer back in, to be scared, and to get those feelings again when you only have 40 minutes instead of 90 or so, right?
That's true.
So that's kind of the problem that I have sometimes. But with Netflix, I think it's way better. Haunting of Hill House, kind of like the movie we watched this week, very psychological.
Oh, wow.
Very. There's some interesting deaths, but nothing outrageous, but very, very scary.
What I need to kind of keep watching, because I watched the first episode of the Creep Show.
Oh my God, that one's so
good. The new TV series. And I loved it. I remember I watched the first movie. I haven't yet seen the second one. And I just kind of, I toddled upstairs and I saw, what's this? It's Creep Show. So I sat and kind of watched the rest of the first season with you.
Yeah.
Or the first episode of the first season.
Yeah.
And it looked great. It's got some good kind of creepy stories, the first one, and I want to see more.
Episode 3 has been my favorite so far. There's a creepy episode with kids, which it gets me every time. We've talked about kids in horror movies. It gets me every time. And
I'm sure you'd love Children of the Corn. That's...
I've heard that one's like, oof.
No.
Yeah?
No.
What was the other one? The other one was good. Oh, it was called Man in a Suitcase. And it's exactly what it sounds.
Oh.
And I thought, oh, well, it's a dude in a suitcase. That's creepy. And it was amazing. I even almost liked it more than the kids one, which I always love things with creepy kids in it. But yeah, it was amazing. You would love it. Even if you just watched the third episode, you should totally watch it. The second episode was but the third one was amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and because, Nick, we watched Candyman this week, I was interested in what kind of myths you heard growing up.
Oh, I got some
Yeah.
good ones. In elementary school,
Yes.
all the boys, or most of the boys, we would run into the boys' washroom,
Yes.
turn the light off, and it was around the same time as Candyman came out, but we'd either say Candyman in the mirror or Bloody Mary.
Yes.
Which we found out is what Candyman's kind of based off of.
Yeah.
As well as the hook.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'd go in the bathroom, turn the lights off, and we'd all yell Candyman or Bloody Mary 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And by the 5th time, we would all just be bolting out, screaming, yelling, thinking, oh, she's going to get us or he's going to get us. Nothing would happen.
No.
I remember I don't know how there's a reflection of light.
Sure.
In the top corner.
Yeah.
And someone would look up and go, oh, there's light, it's Candyman. We would run out.
Of course.
Or it's Bloody Mary. We'd just race out.
Run.
And yeah, I've always liked that story of
Yes.
of Bloody Mary. You go into the mirror, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, 5 times or 3 times, whichever you want to do it. And would you have the guts to say it the last time?
Right.
What if she appeared? What if
I
he appeared?
love the trope that they play on of in the dark. We always did it in the dark. I don't know if that's the thing, right?
Yes.
It's like my sister and I did it. We were being babysat because my parents would never let us do something like this,
no.
right? No. And so we were being babysat. So we went into we lived in a small town. We ran into our downstairs basement because it was very dark down there. There was almost no windows, and we added a basement, so there was no windows in the bathroom. So we closed the door, little medicine cabinet, and we'd go, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, and exactly that. Flip the lights on, scream for no reason, and then run upstairs as fast as we could. And we only did it like a couple times because we were so scared for no reason. Yeah. Nothing ever happened.
No.
But yeah, I love the trope of, being in the dark. Something might happen. You never know, right? It's that fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
That, something could jump out, because that's what happens in horror movies when you watch them.
Yeah.
It's always open up the medicine cabinet, close it, and the killers are jumping on you.
And it's neat how the folklore has kind of evolved, from way back. Like
yes.
I'm talking like the old, 1800s, 1700s. It's that old for folklore.
Yeah.
Whether based off of like fables.
Yeah.
Or the old stories like Ring Around the Rosie.
Oh, that was about the plague, wasn't it?
Yes, but almost every folklore story is based on some real life event.
Absolutely.
And they just kind of souped it up a bit, kind of doctored it up, and made it sound not so bad, but kind of funny or scary or spooky.
Yeah.
And it's also funny how like Ouija boards are kind of, they have that notoriety.
Yes.
And infamy as being something that can open up a door.
Yes.
Let something in. I've never tried one. I've heard people who have tried. As much as I believe in ghosts and spirits and all that, I don't think I'm a believer in a Ouija board. We
were in a small town. One of my friends had one.
Oh.
And she brought it over. We went down into the basement again, or my parents were in another room, something. They weren't there. And we pulled out this Ouija board, my sister and I and this friend. And she's, hurry up before your parents get back kind of type thing. And so we open it up and we put the little disc on, and we all put, 2 fingers on.
Yep.
And then we wait.
And
then we wait. And then we wait. And then somebody inevitably gets bored and pushes it. You know, that's what happened every time. You could feel the pressure. I'm not an idiot.
I know my cousin, Shannon, did it once with her and I think Tracy, I think.
Sure.
And I was going to go asking, well, what happened? Like, nothing. I think Tracy's the one who's moving the thing around. It's all about how kind of, not gullible, but how much you want to believe.
Right.
Because if you believe hard enough or you think it's going to happen, you can trick your mind into thinking that something's happening when it's not.
The first time I watched American Horror Story with one of my girlfriends, she left. It was like 3 a.m. We watched the whole first season in one sitting. Like that's how into it we were, because I couldn't watch it alone. And she's texting me the whole way home, and she's like, "Oh my God, Al, like the street lights were blinking on and off the whole drive home." And I was like, well, that was weird. And then I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, at least you're home okay, whatever. Go to plug my phone in. I plug my charger into the outlet. The outlet sparks, lights on fire, and melts my whole brick. And I'm freaking out, crying. The electricity in my room is going on and off. And I'm like, So I called my friend. I'm like bawling my eyes out because I couldn't tell my parents because I was like in my early 20s and I was supposed to be grown up. And I was like, I can't do this. I'm freaking out. She's like, it's okay. Just go to bed. Everything will be fine in the morning. And I still have the pictures on my phone of my burnt brick for my phone charger. It was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
Years ago, I forget who it was with. I was old, like, friends from secondary school. We decided to go over to one friend's house and play the board game Nightmare. We got the VHS,
Yes.
And before we did it, the girl's mom came in, and she kind of blessed the room. Like, she threw some water.
Did she have sage?
No, it wasn't sage. It was water.
Okay.
I think it was like a Catholic thing. She blessed the walls and all that. I'm thinking, what the heck?
Sure.
Come on, it's a little overkill. But nothing happened. We played the game. I lost. But
worst part.
It's funny though. People take something like a Slender Man.
Yes.
Some girls in the States took it a little too. They believed in too much.
Garbage people.
And I think they killed someone.
They did. I think they tried to kill her. She lived, but they said Slender Man made them.
Yeah. And it became a movie. There's based on a video game. Like, some people just take it too far.
That's the thing, is I feel like sometimes if a person might be, I don't know, like mentally ill, it might be something that they can cling to that gives them purpose, sort of. Or if they are so into this belief,
they're so easily influenced, they need to believe it so much.
Yeah.
Like,
that's just an easy out.
How damaged are you to go to basically see something and then think, oh, is this speaking to me?
Right. And that's the thing, is like damaged, yes, but like that you're, something's obviously wrong.
You're so
like something's
open to suggestions so easily.
Yeah. But anyways, enough of these scary myths. Let's talk about the myth we came here to see.
Candyman.
Candyman.
Okay. Candyman, 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 Candyman.
I dabbed on that last one, just in case he comes.
No.
Did you hear that?
Nope. What was that? Was that Candyman?
I don't want to look behind me. You can see behind me.
I see a fridge.
I see outside.
Is Candyman out there?
He's not.
Okay, good. Okay, we're
just
safe.
Vehicles. Okay, good.
He's gonna let us finish the podcast before we are brutally massacred by his bloody hook, where his hand is.
That hook, hey? Those special effects on his hook were fabulous.
They did a really good job.
They did a fabulous job. It was creepy. Like, even looking at it, I got tingles once when I saw it because it's so horribly severed. It looked like they literally just somebody chewed his arm off.
Well, they used an old rusty saw,
right?
And he went and just kind of jammed a hook in there. I guess during the production, they hired some blacksmith to make the hook. And I guess he found out about the movie and had some severe misgivings, and he was a Mr. Christian boy. He's like, you know what? This is for something evil. I'm not going to give it to you. And you're like, well,
oh, shit.
Fuck.
Find somebody else.
Plan B.
Oh, gosh.
But, this is an old 1992
Woo.
movie, and it's a great psychological flick. Yeah, it really.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's different than any of the movies we've watched so far. It was directed by Bernard Rose, however people say it, Bernard, I think.
Yeah.
And it was, different. It was more psychological than any of the movies we've watched so far. We've mostly been sticking to gore, slashy kind of, which this is, I guess, technically a slasher movie, but it's so much less than what we've been seeing.
Yeah, we had the great Tony Todd, who played the role as Candyman, who did
he did amazing.
I think if you didn't have his deep voice,
yes,
it wouldn't have the same effect.
Absolutely.
As when he talks in this film. He does such a great job. His presence.
His ambiance that he creates when he does. And not only when he's talking, but they like almost echo his voice a bit and magnify it and make it like it's almost inside your head.
And it's very mesmerizing.
Yes.
As we see in the film. Like his voice is is so hypnotic.
Exactly.
That the lead actress, Helen, played by, I forget her name. She's kind of just falls under his spell so easily.
Haven't we all met a man like that? Am I right, ladies?
Helen, played by Virginia Madsen.
Yes. Who looks, and I'm just going to say it, looks exactly like the lady who plays Scully in X-Files.
Gillian Anderson.
Yes, thank you.
I do see it.
Right?
I do see it.
Especially back in like the early 90s.
Yeah.
Like same haircut, same makeup. They could have been sisters.
Could have been, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where did you hear about this movie, Allie?
I don't know. I was trying to think about this before we got to this part of the podcast. I don't really remember. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, kind of. And when I Googled, I forget the movie it is, but the one where Nick Cage has the bees.
Oh, yes. The Wicker Man.
Wicker Man. When I Googled Nick Cage bee meme, because it's my life, it popped up the Candyman poster. And I was like, oh, well, that looks kind of creepy. And then when we got our social media pages going, I started following different horror social media accounts, and everybody loves Candyman. And I was like, well, this has got to be a movie. We got to watch this one. And then when we went out to buy some scary movies to start my collection, it's one of the first movies I bought.
Yep.
Hooray. So that's how I heard about it.
And then after you got home, you lost it.
I lost them all. We were trying to find a plan B. PlayStation Video does not have Candyman on it. I can't believe that. So we're freaking out.
It's got the third one, I think.
So I stopped and I had a really big Winnie the Pooh moment. Think, with slapping my forehead. And it came to me. Oh, bother.
The one, we went through the house, I went through my collection, your collection, the one spot we didn't look, the closet in the spare bedroom.
Like, and why would I throw it in there? I have no idea. I was probably cleaning before somebody came over, and I was like, picked up the bag, looked left and right, and just threw it.
Yeah, this is when we were going to have our recording in the room.
Yes.
But that didn't work out. It's much better out here.
It is. Less echo.
Yeah.
Echo. Anyways, way off topic.
Yeah. But,
how did you hear about the movie?
I remember when it first came out.
Interesting.
I remember, we were doing the game as kids, doing, elementary school.
Right.
And I kind of was, as a kid, what's Candyman? They went, it's a scary movie about some black guy with a hook for a hand and there's bees around him. I'm like, that sounds terrible. I don't want to see him. He'll stab me with his hook hand. And I know, and that was it. I'm like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I first watched it on TV. It was
interesting.
Edited out. It was on TBS. They had their I think it was October. It was some horror marathon. They had all the Candymans. They had a bunch of, I think they had Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. And of course, me, I recorded them all. Of course. And now I think they're gone, lost. But that's how I kind of first really got to watch Candyman. I didn't watch all of it because for a young kid or a young viewer, it's a kind of slow-paced movie.
It's a slow burn.
Very methodical. And I like it. It's a good movie. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But again, like you said, it's very different from what we've seen or reviewed so far.
Yeah, I love Silence of the Lambs, so I was like jazzed as soon as you were like, oh, this is kind of psychological. I was like, oh, Silence of the Lambs is by far my favorite movie ever.
Yeah.
If I had to choose, that would, I think, be the one. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be my thing.
Yeah, and I for this, all these reviews, I want to get every
Angle.
kind of horror
Yes.
type of movie out there. I want to watch it and review it with you.
Yeah.
And again, this is just kind of a different genre of the horror, of the giant umbrella of horror movies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you'd like it.
Of course. I'm always into a little bit of a brain tease.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the psychological. But
and it's super, super psychological.
It is, yeah.
You got,
For characters,
yeah,
the
character. Helen.
Yeah, Helen's, I think, our main lady.
Yeah, she's the main girl.
Yeah.
Trevor, her husband, who is kind of
stupid.
Yeah, kind of a jerk. He's
a
professor. So
I'm not big into Trevor.
No.
I kind of I was feeling Trevor out in the first scene we met him. I was like, he's not good, Helen. No. Get yourself a better man.
He's being a teacher, and this student of his, Stacy's she's trying to get some good A's by,
It's not the right way to do it.
No, she didn't want to study.
Stacy does not have a big brain. She has big something else's.
Yeah.
But she does not have a big brain.
Yeah, she's doing the old, I'm just going to stay with the teacher and get A's, and I'm set. We got Candyman, Bernadette, who is Helen's, her kind of friend.
Her BFF, and her colleague as well.
Yes, because they're working
They work at the university.
Yeah, I don't know if they're students. I think they're kind of students.
They're like, what did she call it? She talks.
They're doing a thesis.
Yeah,
and they picked.
So it's like they're doing their masters, basically, right?
Yeah. Then we got who else? We got Jake, who's this young boy who Helen and Bernadette kind of bump into when they're doing the research. Anna Marie.
She's another lady that they bump into when they're in the building.
Yeah, they're like in the projects.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And Anthony, Annie Marie's little baby.
Little baby, yeah. Okay, so once we get in there, we open on the freeway, which this movie really utilizes these long shots.
They do.
I love the long shots, the very high aerial, like helicopter, airplane view kind of the freeway.
Yeah, and others are like just the kind of the pullback.
Yes.
And then spin 180. Yes. We see behind you.
Yeah, the camera angles in this were unreal.
Really good.
Really interesting.
It's kind of a slower start. It's a very slow build. Not a lot goes on. Just basically we meet Helen.
Yeah.
Kind of doing her thing.
Talking about their thesis, their idea.
Interviewing people about some of these murders by Candyman.
Yes.
Her and Bernadette kind of snoop around.
Yeah.
And
they interview a couple different people. Or the first one that I forget who they're talking to, but they talk about that they find there's this babysitter and she invites a bad boy over and they do the Candyman thing in the mirror and then they both die.
Yeah.
And then they meet...
No. The girlfriend dies. The boyfriend, he's so scared. His hair turns white.
We didn't see anybody with white hair in this movie.
No. They suggest
I was really hoping that we would meet somebody with white hair and it'd be like, oh, that's the boyfriend or something, you know what I mean?
Or like have... I think Jake no one really sees him who survives.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
I think so. Maybe they did in the sequels. I forget.
There's sequels?
Oh, yes.
It's a horror movie, Alana. Of course there's sequels.
But as the movie goes on, Helen is trying to do her interviews, and she runs into a cleaner.
A janitor.
Lady, a janitor. And my friend, she knows about this girl who died.
Yes.
And so she asks her about him and what happens. And it's at this... these projects. So what are they called again?
The Cabrini Green.
Cabrini Greens, yes.
Yes.
So Helen kind of talks Bernadette into tagging along to go and basically look at the murder scene.
Yes, check it out. Yeah. And the reason that Bernadette is so apprehensive is because this whole area has been taken over by gangs.
Yeah.
Which actually in real life, them filming, it had been taken over by gangs.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So it's kind of scary that, they have a scene where Bernadette's shoving tasers and bear mace and stuff into her purse. Yep. And she's like, oh, what's with the arsenal? And she's like, do you know where we're going?
It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And it's cool how Helen's apartment
yes.
is the exact same design as the project's apartment.
You bet.
So she kind of shows Bernadette how, I guess how the girl died is she heard this banging on her wall. And someone, I guess, Candyman, burst through and killed her.
Yes.
And she's explaining how she can pull apart her medicine cabinet and there's no wall behind there. There's just a big old hole that goes into the next apartment. And sure enough, they go to the projects and they go to their apartment. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, she kind of opens up the medicine cabinet and big hole.
Huge hole. It looked like, it wasn't like hers though, where it had been cut apart so that the medicine cabinet fits in. It was like broken, yeah. It was creepy.
So of course, good old brave Helen, just smart white girl, climbs through, taking pictures, and Bernadette, she's just freaking out. Like, don't you dare go 5 minutes longer, or I'll drag your ass out here.
Yes.
Okay. And we see her, and Helen just kind of stooped around, taking pictures, goes through the hole.
Yes.
And the other side of the hole is this big mural of Candyman's face, and his mouth is open, and that's where the hole is.
That's where the hole is.
Yeah.
And then she sees, like, candy all over in this little pile in the room as well, which is like, did they ever really explain why they call him Candyman?
No.
I feel like, again, a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I think
right?
If they did, I might have missed it. I think he just likes sweet. I don't know.
Right.
But we kind of learn a bit of a backstory how Candyman got the hook. Like he was born in, I think, 1890s to a slave. His dad was smart, clever enough. He created an easier way to create boots, I think, for after the war.
Something like that.
And his dad became wealthy, and his boy learned he could draw.
Yes.
Candyman was
an artist.
He was a good artist. And some rich fella hired him to draw.
Capture his daughter's virginal beauty was the exact word.
Yes. And did he ever?
Did he ever?
And she got knocked up.
They full on fell in love.
Yeah, they fell in love, and she got pregnant, and the dad didn't know. He's not going to have some slave boy be with his beautiful virginal daughter.
Used to be virginal daughter.
And so he hired some guys to basically get rid of him, take care of him.
Yes.
And so they caught up to old Candyman, cut his hand off with a rusty saw.
Yes.
They then stripped him naked, and there's a beehive next door, close there. So they grabbed a bunch of the honeycomb and smeared it all over his body, and the bees were a little mad, and they stung him to death.
Yes.
And then they went and burnt the body.
Yeah, because why not?
Yeah.
It's like a Rasputin kind of situation.
Yeah. and I guess where the apartment of the projects were was the area where he was killed.
Exactly. Yes. So then we, while they're in this the Cabrini Green, looking at Candyman's apartment, Helen comes out. She's fine. She took some pictures. Got a little scared. Came back. As they're leaving, they meet Anne-Marie, who asks what they're doing here. Are they cops? Is this a sweep? And they go back to her apartment when she says, oh, well, I'll tell you, kind of what I know about this. So they go back to Anne-Marie's apartment when they see that she has a baby, and his name's Anthony. And
a good boy Rottweiler.
Oh,
for
good
protection.
boy.
Oh, he's such a good boy.
Yeah, he's so pretty.
He protects her very well. And and they start talking, and she explains, yes, I heard what happened. Didn't see, but I heard the screams.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they kind of just learn a little bit about Anne-Marie, and her boy is all that's, it's like the main important thing to her life.
Yes.
And she's not going to let him get caught up with the gangs at all.
Exactly.
So
this is when they go for supper, and then we actually hear the backstory.
Yeah.
And then Helen's really interested and wants to go back.
Yep.
So she goes back, and Anne-Marie's not home, and this is where we meet Jake.
Yes.
And Jake is this adorable little boy who was sitting outside of Anne-Marie's apartment, I guess, just hanging out. And she asks...
He doesn't have parents, just on his own.
Yeah, just kind of hanging out.
But he's not afraid of nothing.
He's not afraid. But he won't talk to Helen because he says Candyman will get him. And she says, okay, well, that's fine. You don't have to tell me, but can you show me?
Yeah.
And it'll be our little secret. So Jake drags her down to this little shack in the kind of the same lot, I think. It's like a bathroom. Yeah. And it's
public restroom.
So then he tells her a story about how his friend Charlie saw this kind of happen. There was a mom had a disabled son with her, and she was taking too long looking at groceries, and so he ran across the street to this bathroom that's on the lot that the Cabrini Green is. So he goes in, and he said he's not even in there for like 5 seconds when they hear screaming. This big burly man runs across the street to see what's happening, and he sees that Charlie's or this disabled boy's member has been ripped off.
Cut off.
Yeah. It's not there anymore.
No.
And he says, Jake says, well, you can't fix that. He's better off dead.
Yeah. And I guess the guy went in to go help him. He kind of walked out, hair white.
White hair.
Like
Again.
You don't see that.
I want to see the white hair.
He's very scared.
And we watched the unrated version or whatever, the extended version. That's why I was hoping to get some white hair.
There was not much difference between unrated and theatrical. There's 2 different shots.
Yes.
That's it.
So Helen, after hearing this, decides to go in and check out it for herself. So she walks in, and there's words written on the wall in feces.
Yeah.
And she kind of starts looking in the toilets, sort of the stalls, and she gets to the last one, and she opens the lid because there's an arrow pointing down. So she opens the lid, and it's full of bees.
Yeah.
Like full. So she's like, okay, that's enough of that. Closes it.
That'd be like the worst poop ever.
Right. It's like horrible all the way around. Like, what happens when does it sting when it comes out? Do you then what do? Do you stand up? Because they'll be trapped in there. Like,
it's not good.
I have more questions.
Another time.
So she's taking a few more pictures, and as she goes to leave, this guy comes in a trench coat with a hook. And she's like, ooh, I don't want any trouble, whatever. And then more gang members come in. And his hand kind of comes out of the trench coat. So we see he's just holding it.
Yeah, he's just holding a hook.
Exactly.
Like a fish hook.
Yes.
That was used in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
And so they threaten her a little bit. And then they whack her on the head. And she passes out. And Jake walks in and sees her and calls the cops, I'm assuming. Yeah. Because next time we see her, she's at the police station. Yeah,
I think it was more just one good whack. I think he gave her a good beat with that.
Yes.
And also, we forgot to mention earlier before Helen and Bernadette go and check out the projects. Mm-hmm. They're in her house and just kind of talking about the Candyman story and all that. And Helen and Bernadette go to the bathroom and they say Candyman.
Right.
Helen says it 5 times, Bernadette says it 4. She chickens out. And that kind of what starts Helen's little
rendezvous with the Candyman. Yeah.
It's kind of, he kind of finds out. He gets summoned.
Yes.
By her.
Yes. So we're back at the police station. She's identifying the guy who beat her up, the main guy with the hook in his hand. And so she explains to Jake that, he's not real. He's not a real thing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And so then she meets up with Bernadette. Her puffiness goes down. We have a few shots of her seeing Trevor at home. She's cooking dinner. Obviously, she's off. And then she goes back to work. And she meets Bernadette. And she's like, hey, I'm back to work. Hooray. And Bernadette's like, we might get published now that you're in the newspaper.
Yeah, we found the pictures. She thought that the camera she was taking got destroyed. Nope. Bernadette's got the pictures. And she's showing her, this is so great news. And Helen's, she's so happy, over the moon. She's going to her car in Sparkade. All of a sudden you hear, Helen. And, you got the great voice of Tony just... And you can see him. You see him walking a bit, and he's just basically other side of the parking lot, just standing there, head up, hands behind his back.
I got very excited at this part because I was like, we're finally going to see him. Because all I hear about is how good he did in this role.
It's great.
And I was like, okay, we're freaking halfway through the movie. Can I see the real Candyman?
And he just appears and starts talking to her and kind of hypnotizes her with his voice.
I wrote down some of the things he said, and in his just menacing voice, he says, I came for you, you doubted me, be my victim.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying this to her, be my victim. And so she's like, oh, okay. You know, she's kind of like, I don't want to. I want to live. And she gets hypnotized, and then she passes out. And she wakes up in Anne-Marie's apartment.
Covered in blood.
Covered in blood, but she's not hurt.
Nope. She thinks it's her. Checks her stomach, all the blood's on her stomach, it's gone.
Yeah.
And she goes for there's a cleaver beside her. She grabs a cleaver, opens the door, and there's the poor Roddy's head.
Oh,
poor doggo. Yeah.
You can kill as many people as you want in movies, but don't hurt the dogs.
No, they're good boys.
They're the bestest boys.
And you hear Anne-Marie just shrieking, screaming.
And she's screaming Anthony over and over.
And you kind of you're led to believe that Anthony's dead. The little boy has been killed. And I thought that at first.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like, stupid Helen walks out with the stupid cleaver in her hand. Anne-Marie must have just came home and saw the blood and saw, Anthony, who's out, I guess, missing from his crib. And she freaks out and chases down and kind of tries to get Helen, and she fights back.
Yes, obviously.
Kind of, pushes her down. Yeah. And, she's like, tells her, she cuts her the arm a little bit and tells her, just calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Just relax. And police show up and they arrest Helen, and she's like, kind of drops the knife. She's like, I didn't do it. What's going on?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I'm a victim too. Help.
Yeah. And you see her going through all the process, going through custody, which is pretty traumatic for her. Mm-hmm. She's basically in the detention center.
Yes.
I'm in trouble.
Yes, exactly. And the police are being kind of mean to her. Like, obviously, they don't believe her. They're mad. She calls Trevor, and no one's home, and we see that the time is 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And
he's probably helping Stacy with some late night studies. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
And then she has a vision of Anthony with Candyman in his little apartment-y thing. And then we flash back to her cell, and she's leaving with Trevor. So he finally obviously came home. They go back to her apartment, and they're meeting with her lawyer, and she's saying how she can't remember anything. And the lawyer's like, just give me something to work with.
I'm surprised she didn't. I really thought that she would have said,
there's a guy in the parking garage.
Yeah. Or, I was researching Candyman, and things are going weird. Like, she doesn't say a thing.
Nothing.
It's almost like, and of course, you can see her, doubting herself.
Yes.
Like, if I say this, they'll probably say I'm crazy.
Exactly.
I forget.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know anything. Yeah. I don't have any idea. So, and then we do this really creepy thing where she's looking through her photos in her living room.
Yeah, and a slideshow.
Yes.
And if anyone who is probably at least 20 years old will be like, what are slides? They're just pictures. You just put a little projector and you hear a button and it keeps showing picture after picture after picture.
Yes. It's how people used to show their vacation photos.
Yes. It's very old school and...
Yeah, but she finds a picture that she took while she was looking in the mirror. And she starts zooming in on it. And she sees Candyman in, like, the corner of one of the photos, and it's really creepy.
Yeah, he's just behind her, just watching.
Yes.
And
so she's like, oh, okay, whatever. Goes to the bathroom, and she's like, I think she's just kind of like, ugh, I need to, like, wash my face, get this, yucky feeling out.
Yeah.
And so she's standing in front of the mirror, and his claw, like, breaks through her mirror.
Yeah.
And she's screaming, running out. And he says something that I really liked. He says that people don't believe in him anymore, and it's her fault.
Yeah.
So I think by her outing that gang member, like that head, and he was a head gang member,
and he kind of took on the moniker Candyman for the fear factor.
Right, of course.
And the intimidation.
Yes. And so people aren't believing in him anymore because, like she said to Jake, like, it's just, I saw the guy in the trench coat with the claw, like, with the hook. Yeah. It's just in your imagination. He's a real person. He's arrested. It's fine. Yeah.
And you know what? This is very similar to Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
Where he needs the people to believe and to fear him.
Yes.
He gets his power that
Honestly,
way.
Same thing as Pennywise.
That too.
Pennywise needs your fear. He's nothing.
Yeah.
So he talks again, how her death, will be legendary and people will be scared again because of the story that he's going to leave about her. And as she's kind of being, like, intimidated and talked to by him, hypnotized almost again, we see Bernadette knocking on the door, rapping, Helen, are you here? And she obviously doesn't answer. And then she screams, "No, go away." And Bernadette just goes in.
Of course.
Soon as she goes into the apartment, we don't see anything more. It's just her face going like,
Yeah, door closes,
and then that's it.
door slams shut behind her.
Slam shut.
And there's Candyman behind the door. And you just see Helen just crying.
Yes.
And she knows bad things are happening. And you hear pretty in detail, you don't see anything, but you hear Bernadette being murdered and killed by Candyman.
The subtitles literally said squishing.
Squelching. Yeah, it was not good. And you see again Helen kind of wakes up to Trevor walking in.
Yeah.
And he's just got this big look of shock on his face.
And Helen's in the kitchen holding a knife again. Yeah. Like, bitch!
Because she grabbed a knife to defend herself against Candyman. And she tried to run away. He keeps following her. He's like, wherever she runs, he's there.
Yes. And then we see Bernadette being very dead.
Yeah.
Her face is all blue. Helen's in
She was gutted from groin to sternum.
Yep.
Yeah. And she's sadly quite...
Which seems to be his moniker.
Yeah. She's dead.
Yes.
And we see old Helen being transported...
to a hospital. Yeah. Mental asylum, I think, is kind of what they think. Because they're like, okay, this bitch be cray. Yeah. She's killed 2 people now. She's obviously a danger. And so they show her being strapped into a bed, and Candyman comes into the room. This is one of my favorite shots of the movie, actually. And so she's strapped down to a bed, laying flat on her back, and he comes down like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible style. He
just floats above her.
Yeah. And is just kind of talking nonsense at her. And he keeps talking about, like, one kiss, like, oh, just give me, I forget the word he used. Oh, one exquisite kiss.
Yes.
Which is, like, kind of cute. I don't know.
And she kind of, you're a murderer, he's here. And he kind of floats down to the side, and orderlies rush in, and they give her 1,000 cc's. Which I'm like, okay, that would knock out a horse, or at least a dozen.
And she's, like, also, the scene where they give her the needle's horrible. They basically, like, stab, like, a really... Obviously, it's one of those retractable things, but they just, and that's it. Yeah. It's not like...
squeeze out.
Yeah, and it's, like, moments.
No, that's not how it works.
It's not how any of this works. No. So, we're like, okay, whatever. So, she gets knocked out.
And then, so we find out a month has gone by. She kind of wakes up. And she goes and sees Dr. Burke. And she's like, well, what's going on? Can I talk to my husband?
Yes.
And she's like, well, we'll arrange something. You've been out for a month. And she's like, what, a month? She's like, yeah, the drugs we've been putting you on, it makes you forget.
Yes.
And they shows her a clip of a recording of when you first came in, and you see Helen just screaming, the same thing. No Candyman.
No Candyman there.
And it kind of makes you think, well, all this stuff that's happening, all these murders, is it Candyman doing it, or is it him influencing Helen to do it?
And this is like, the whole thing is like, it. Honestly, at the end of the movie, it could have just been her, because she blacks out. Yeah. She could have been the one doing it this whole time.
There could have been the whole Candyman thing going on, but it could have been also in her head.
That's exactly it.
But
yes,
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, it would be cool.
It would be.
But there's been other movies like that have done that exact thing.
Yeah, and it would have. I don't know. I think it would have been a little bit like a cheap way out. Yeah. Saying no, it was just in her head all along. There was no Candyman.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, so she tells Dr. Burke I'm not a murderer, and I can summon the guy who did it. Don't screw with me. And he's like, okay, sure, do it. So she turns to the mirror that's beside her and says Candyman 5 times, and nothing happens. And they're just kind of sitting there, and Dr. Burke's like, okay, well, that's enough of that. And then, hook through the torso, blood.
Burke gets killed by Candyman from behind. Yes. Just kind of appears and just slices his back right open.
Yeah. It was, the kill itself was kind of meh, but right afterwards, it was my second favorite part of the movie, where Candyman, basically puts his arms out and his legs out, and, folds his, torso forward, and just, right out the window.
Like he gets sucked out.
Sucked out. It was, again, such a cool shot.
Yeah.
Like the shots in this movie were fun.
He tells Helen before he flies out, "Come find me. You know where I am.
Yep.
If you want to save the boy, come find me."
And he undoes her restraints, and
right,
she's
yes.
like, "Okay, bye."
Yeah.
So she crawls on the ledge and goes a couple windows down and hops through the window on top of a nurse, knocks the nurse out, and seals her clothes.
Yeah.
And she's getting out of there.
Yeah, she takes off. She runs out
and she goes home.
She heads home.
She's like, "Oh, Trevor believes me. He said he'd be with me through all of this." So she walks into her house, and she sees that somebody's painting her house pink, like Malibu Barbie pink.
It's a horrible color.
It's horrible. And so she walks in a bit farther, and we see Stacy in like basically just a bra and like one of like an oversized shirt, which I'm assuming is Trevor's.
Yeah.
She's just painting. And it's like, okay. And they have a confrontation, obviously. Trevor comes out of the bathroom.
Trevor's got like the Hugh Hefner kind of bathrobe and the
towel around his neck.
It's so bad.
Ugh.
And Stacy's acting here is pretty rough.
I don't know if they did that on purpose, like again, that she doesn't have a brain in her head, but she was horrible.
I first thought that she was laughing.
Yeah.
Like her reaction to her was like kind of like a laugh giggle.
Yes.
Not a gasp of, oh crap, why are you here? Like there's eventually, she starts crying, she's terrified. And Helen she's kind of going mad here. She's kind of like a little descent into madness over this whole situation.
Yeah, she's acting real creepy.
A little like, go ahead, call. You don't want to call.
Yeah.
And then Trevor kind of goes to the phone and she looks at him and he jumps back scared, like they're terrified of her.
Yes. And so Helen's like, okay, if this is a thing, then she says, it's over, and leaves.
Yeah, she leaves.
It's like, yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah.
Should have been over far sooner, but because he was bopping Stacy for like the whole
getting
movie.
some good marks.
Yeah, she passed, that's for sure.
She was probably the top of the grade.
Yes, and so she leaves. They have this kind of mini montage of her, like, on a bridge thinking about her life, and Candyman talking to her in her head, and like, everybody's gonna abandon you. This, just come to me, be my victim, same stuff. And so she goes back to Candyman's apartment because she thinks, okay, screw this, I have nothing left.
I'm gonna go and I'll give Candyman myself, and he'll give the baby up.
Yes, he'll give me back Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony will be free. I'll probably die, but I'll do the noble thing and save the kid.
Exactly. So she goes back to his apartment, goes through the little medicine cabinet holy thing. She sees some hooks and takes one, and then this is where she sees graffiti of him in the 1800s, and it's really like nice looking. So you just kind of sees him being caught by these hooligans running, his hand getting cut off, and then she sees him sleeping in the corner. So she goes over and tries to stab him with her little hooky thing, and he wakes up.
She does stab him, but it's like, no effect.
Yes, and so he says, surrender, and he shall be unharmed, talking about Anthony, and come to me and be immortal. So she's sort of like the bride that he never had.
Yeah, there's a very unrequited, like a missed love.
Yes.
That he kind of happens to him.
Yes. And when you see the portraits that he has in there of this virginal girl that he was in love with, that he got pregnant, it looks like Helen.
Yeah.
And obviously it's on purpose.
Yeah, like he died without his first love.
Yes.
He found again with Helen.
Yes.
And wanted her to be with him in death to kind of substitute his old bride and the woman she was with.
Right.
And that was kind of like that was Candyman's main objective.
Yes. To
have Helen with him in the afterlife.
Yes. And so he opens up his jacket and he's bees. Bees? Bees.
No. He opens the jacket and it's just flesh. It's like
he's got the bees.
Oh, bees too.
Yeah.
But there's like he has no skin. You see his rib cage. It's all bloody, and there's bees all around him. And he goes in for a nice bee kiss on Helen.
Yeah.
And she's out of it again. He picks up Anthony, and disappears.
She passes out again.
Yeah.
This girl cannot keep her eyes open.
No, she's narcoleptic. And she wakes up again. She kind of hears Anthony's cries.
Yes.
And we see earlier there's a big pile of wood and junk garbage for a big bonfire later.
that they burn every year as
Yep.
like almost an homage to Candyman, I think. And so she hears Anthony crying in the heap. So she starts clambering around, and Jake actually wakes up and sees her.
He hears it and peeks in.
Yep, and then he says super creepily, "He's here."
Yeah,
and
he sees the hook going underneath. He's like, "Oh, Candyman's here."
Yeah.
And he goes and rounds up everyone to burn it.
Do the bonfire.
Yeah.
So they grab the gasoline and all these different lighting utensils and whatnot, and they douse the pile in gas. So they're dousing the pile in gas. We see Helen climbing through, trying to get to Anthony. He's kind of hidden a little bit. And Candyman appears when Helen finally gets to Anthony.
Yeah.
So everything's burning around her. She grabs Anthony. She's going to make a speedy getaway, but Candyman's there.
Yep, he grabs her and he's whispering in her ear, saying, I got you, we're going to be together forever. And she's like, well, you promised, you broke your promise, you lied. He's like, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Fooled you.
Yeah.
And
I'm like a ghost zombie demon. Like, you think you believe me? Come on, girl.
And, so she kind of gets free because a burning piece of the wood hits Candyman.
Like a stake. She stabs him with a stake.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah. She grabs a flaming stake and stabs Cameron in the chest.
She gets caught, and she's like burning. Her whole back is on fire.
Her back, her hair, her head.
Yeah, and
she's crawling out, and Candyman, he's in there screaming, and
she crawls out of the fire with Anthony in her arms, unharmed, and she gives Anthony back to Anne-Marie. And then we see Candyman explode into flames, and then there's like flaming bees buzzing above. It's so creepy because there's just these little like fireflies almost.
Yeah.
So creepy.
It's a cool little scene.
It is a sweet scene,
And Helen kind of, she dies. She's kind of collapses, dies.
Succumbs to her injuries.
Yeah. And you see, it's horrible. She's horribly burnt. The people around her, they run, like the community, they put her out. But it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we cut to her funeral.
Yes.
And it's no one's there. It's basically
no one's there. Trevor,
Stacy, the one colleague
the asshole dude from Supper.
He did a piece on Candyman before, and
he's the one we got the exposition from about his past.
And Trevor
and they're
looks
the only
over.
ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trevor looks over and he gasps, and the community.
Yes.
Come
from the Cabrini Green.
Yeah, they
everybody
big march in a straight line.
Yes.
And you got Anne-Marie and Jake in the front,
mm-hmm.
and he has
little Anthony, so he survived and he's fine.
Yeah, and Jake has Candyman's hook.
Yes.
And he kind of drops it into the not the casket, well, where the casket
is.
Hole. Yeah. And I think it's kind of that's a little meaningful, or it's supposed to symbolic of Candyman's with her now.
Right. Yeah, they are together now. Yeah. And so we cut back.
It's almost like they also they treat Helen as a hero.
Yes.
She defeated Candyman.
Yeah.
And she kind of sacrificed herself for those people to not be afraid of Candyman anymore.
You bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we cut back to Trevor's, and this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie again. My third favorite. I've said that twice now. My third favorite.
Yeah, he's kind of sitting there on the toilet, he's contemplating. He's got a major remorse.
Yes.
He got old Stacy, being
Malibu Barbie Stacy isn't working out very well. She's like literally acts like a stuck-up teenager.
Yeah.
She's movie.
Got no bra on. She's got very see-through shirt
on.
Oh
my gosh. There's literally no point in her having a shirt on in that scene.
Yeah. And she's like, well, are you hungry? No, eat later. Do you want to help me make a salad? No, I'm busy in the bathroom. She's like getting all mad.
Yes.
She's got the steak knife. She's cutting this steak up really, she's cutting all the good parts off and tossing them away. I'm like, you're the worst ever.
Right.
And you see Trevor, he's crying. He's really upset. He's kind of repeating Helen in his mouth. Oh, Helen. Gets up, looks in the mirror, and he says Helen 5 times.
5 times.
And then he turns the light off. And lightning flashes, and who appears?
Helen. With no hair.
Well, she's got something. It's kind of like fake hair, kind of like she's...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like she's bleach blonde. And
looking pretty bomb.
And yeah.
And she hooks Trevor right in his pretty little back.
Nope,
She's just
he got her in the stomach. I think.
really.
Well,
He turns around.
Yeah,
You're
turns
right.
around and she gets her from groin to gullet.
Yeah.
And Stacy hears his screams.
Struggles. Yeah.
Opens the door and screams out with a knife in her hand, and there's poor Trevor sitting kind of slumped in the tub
in the
with
bathtub.
just sliced open.
Yeah.
And Stacy's screaming, and you know what? If they pinned it on her, I'd be okay.
That's
with that.
A-okay.
And
then we roll credits. But during the roll credits, there's a scene where it shows Helen, and she's a painting in Candyman's apartment-ish thing.
Yep.
And she's completely engulfed in flames.
Yeah, it's
very
Khaleesi
style.
It's a very, very beautiful picture of her. She's majestic looking, and the flames are licking her hair, flying up.
Yes.
And there's a big crack, probably just above her forehead, kind of across. And it's a nice, good scene. And it kind of shows how she's almost taken over as the specter, like the spirit of the apartment. So yeah, that's
Candyman.
That's Candyman.
Yeah, it was good. It was lots of thinking about, is this in Helen's head? Is this actually happening? It was interesting.
I think it is because Jake had the hook.
Yes.
So it was definitely not just in her head,
right.
And she was just acting it out. It was a presence of Candyman, and he was doing his thing for repeating his name 5 times.
Yeah. Just living out his urban legend life.
Yeah. That's what his urban legend.
Yeah. So, Nick, we've talked about how we like this movie. How many Horr-gasms would you rate it?
I'd give it a 3.
Interesting.
It's a very slow movie.
Yes.
It's a very good psychological movie.
Yeah.
The effects are pretty tame.
Yeah.
There's a couple. It's very classic jump scares.
Yes.
Where Hal's looking in the window looking for Anne Marie, and her dog jumps up and gave you a bit of a jump.
Listen.
But it kind of resorts to the kind of classic
tropes
of jump scares.
Yeah.
Nothing too explicit.
Yeah.
A bit of nudity with the breasts, but whatever.
Hardly any. Very tasteful.
It was very tasteful.
It was in when she had to strip search in the prison, and she's taking a bath, and then Malibu Stacy at the end, literally with her see-through shirt.
Malibu Stacy. It's not a bad movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's very different from the classics of Freddy and Jason and Halloween, but it gets you psychologically.
Yes.
And it's at such a presence where, hey, me as a kid, we were in the dark, in the mirror, saying Candyman.
Yes.
So it has a very lasting appeal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very well known movie.
Yeah.
So, but
I agree.
It's not really one of my favorites.
No.
But it's a good movie.
I agree.
I like it.
Yeah. I would actually also give it a 3. I thought, again, the jump scares were well done because of the mood and the music.
The music was so good.
The shots that they did. Yeah. Some of where they'll be looking down the hallway at the bathroom and then zoom into her in bed in one shot. Beautiful. Yep. Loved it. Like I already mentioned, I feel like they really missed seeing somebody with white hair. I would love that. You talk about it multiple times. Why can't I see a dude in white hair? Why couldn't that have been one of the people she interviewed?
Yeah.
Something like that. I feel like there were a couple missed opportunities that they could have capitalized on that would have kind of pulled it together just a touch more, just polished it a little bit.
Even having the one detective.
Yes.
If he saw something.
Yes.
And his hair went white.
Exactly.
That would have been so impactful.
Right? Just something small like that where you keep mentioning it, pull it together a little bit. Just round it up. So that's why I think I agree. I think it was about a 3. It was really, there was thought put into it, but just not that full amount.
No. Well, and it has, it was based on a story written by Clive Barker.
Yes.
Who was behind Hellraiser series and all that. And
right.
It's a good story.
It is. It's fabulous. Yeah, his story was a little bit different. It happened in England and stuff.
Yeah, it was a big menacing white individual
With yellow tinged skin and a red beard and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, like a little more comical almost,
But-
it sounds, or more campy.
Yeah, but you know what? Being in America in a more urban setting,
Yeah.
it works.
It sure does work.
Bringing up the old 1800 or 1900s
Yeah.
slavery, it gave a more darker feel to it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I really liked how they did it.
I did
I
too.
thought the story itself was really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And what about Ichabod's Kill the Flick?
Oh, well, the kill of the flick has to be Trevor getting his comeuppance in the end.
Yeah.
After
there weren't a lot of kills in this movie.
there weren't.
But the ones that were killed were meaningful, and yeah, they were good. They were good.
I agree.
I think Trevor got the most. It was the most kind of brutal death.
Mm-hmm.
Bernadette was close.
Yeah,
but you don't see.
we don't see it.
You just see the after effect.
Yes.
Where Trevor, you see his blood's coming off his mouth.
And it's so satisfying because he's been such a douche the whole movie.
Yeah.
Shacking up with Stacy and telling Helen, you're my everything. I'm going to stand by you. And after she's in the psych center for a month, he shacks up with Stacy.
It sticks with the revenge theme.
It does.
Candyman's kind of doing it for revenge.
Absolutely.
Just because he was murdered, brutally murdered. And now Helen's kind of taking over the revenge theme by getting revenge on Trevor.
Yes. And he says that, their love will be, all that kind of stuff. They're going to be together forever, and now they are.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Icky's Kill the Flick.
Woohoo.
Little Trevor getting his comeuppance.
Absolutely. And next week, we have a very special movie.
Alana, are you ready? Are you ready to do the time warp again? We're doing
science fiction double feature.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is one of my all-time favorite movies ever, ever, ever. So I'm already going to tell you I'm super biased because I'm so excited. I love this movie. It is everything to me, and I think everybody should see it, if not.
It's a great movie. We'll get more into it next week.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going back to the more musical horrors. Yes. But this is such a Halloween-centered movie.
It is.
Every Halloween in Saskatoon, there's a showing of it. And there used to be a big way to watch it. There you have to come with
it's still a thing.
Not so much anymore because it's a mess. It's a big mess from the cleanup. They don't want you to do the hot dog scene, hot dog effect.
Toast.
There's no toast. There's no popcorn. There's no.
Well, damn it, Janet.
Well done. I'm impressed with that. But no, it's because it was such a mess to clean up after.
Well, yeah.
And for our viewers, if you're going to watch it, look up what goes with it. Because there is a big to-do. You have to bring a newspaper. It's a huge thing. We'll get into it as we do the review. But, yeah, please, this is a big Halloween special we're going to have.
Yes.
It's Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's going to be awesome.
So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. This episode, as always, was brought to you by our executive producer, Ichabod, who's not even in the room right now. He abandoned us. We hope you enjoyed your Horr-gasm as much as we did. So please don't forget to rate, download, and subscribe to us. Also, like and follow us on Facebook at Horr-gasm Podcast, Instagram at Horr-gasm, and Twitter at Gasm Horror. If you have a movie you'd like us to review, this is always the best way to let us know. We hope to see you again next week because we have such sights to show you. Plenty of Horr-gasms for you to experience. See you next week.
Bye.